Hi, today I'm going to try and explain how to use or to understand the marks on a ruler. So I'd like you to imagine that this piece of paper is one space on your ruler. And that space goes from number 1 to number 2. Now this is for an inch ruler, okay? And so we're going to go from number 1 to number 2. Now, you know the big numbers mean inches. Now, a lot of rulers also have centimeters on the side, but what we're looking for are ones that are marked like this. Okay? Now, the hard part is understanding what those little marks all mean. But those are fractions. They tell us the pieces of an inch. So I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to write down the crease. I'm going to put a line. Okay. So the line that is exactly in the middle stands for 1/2. So that is 1/2. Okay. And so now I'm going to take the sides and I'm going to fold them to the half mark. So in essence, I'm sure you've done this before, it's like folding a letter. Perhaps you did this when you were working on fractions. You folded a piece of paper to make multiple creases. And I'm going to put a line on those 2 new creases. And you see now my counting, sorry, but my camera is backwards. We have 1, then it goes to 1/4, and then it goes to 1/2. Well, we know that 2/4 make a half. So this quarter added together makes this half. So the next one here would be 3/4 because if I count them, there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So this line right here should be marked 3/4. Now I can keep folding my paper to make 8s. So if I had another line in between each of these, here and here and here and here, that would divide this span into 8 pieces, 8 equal pieces, or 1/8. And so I would simply count those. Now if I look at this ruler, okay, these marks are the same size. Okay, the marks in the middle. But if I count them, I know what they are. So I've got 1, 2, 3 marks in between each big number. And if I count the spaces, that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are marked fourths. And inside each fourth are 4 more. So this ruler is actually one that's done in 16ths. Small pieces. Now, when you're learning to measure, for the most part, you're going to work in quarters and halves. Okay? And you just do that the same way that you do fractions. So if I'm measuring something and it comes to 1 inch and then goes a little beyond it to here, that's 1 1/4. If it comes a little bit farther and makes to here, that means it would be 1 inch and 1/2, and so forth. And that's the way that we read the marks on a ruler. And remember, I can divide fractions. I can divide 1 in as many pieces as I want. But on the standard inch ruler, the common measurements are going to be 1/2, 1/4, 1/4. Then on some, you're going to have 1/8, and then you'll have 1/16. And the smallest you usually see is 1/32. Now, the width of my pen is almost as big as 32nd. So what we use those smaller marks for is for really precise measurement. You're not going to be doing really precise measurement in a math class, but in a shop class where you're making where you're cutting pieces of wood or pieces of metal and fitting them together to create something, sometimes you actually need them that tight, where being off by a quarter, by a 16th or a 32nd makes a big difference. But that's really in machining of products. In your math class, we're trying to teach you how to use a basic ruler, because the next piece of that is to apply that to geometry and take a look at how big are geometric shapes. Or a very basic question, what is the volume of my coffee cup? How much liquid can it hold? Well, I can figure that out mathematically, but I have to know how tall it is, what's its circumference, what's its diameter, its radius. I don't really care about the handle because I want to know what's inside it. And I have to know how thick it is. And all of those are things that can be measured. And once those measurements are done, then I can put that information into a standard equation and come up with what is the volume of the cup. Okay. So that's where you're headed. Have a good day. Bye.